Welcome to the 440th event, the Northern Tour. This event was designed to bring us all together for a fun, but yet challenging event. Give us the opportunity to see some of the scenery in the northern part of Korea that we normally don't get to see, as well as see some of the air bases along the route. But it's also designed to be a bit of a challenge for basic navigation and spotting of targets. Currently now I'm en route to one of the unmarked bases. As you can see from the HSD, the route isn't marked. The route will be provided on our route sheet at mission time. The route will be flown by flying headings off of waypoints. I'm currently heading to one of those waypoints. All the waypoints are air bases. Once we find the waypoint, you'll need to use the Mark Point Overfly page to mark a point and use that to reference your next heading and distance to the next waypoint. This will continue for the entire route. The other challenge is to navigate around the high mountains in the area while remaining under 5,000 AGL. As you can see now, I have to go over 5,000 MSL just to clear these mountains. If I go any higher, I'm in the clouds. So there may be a time that going around the mountains will be necessary to stay on the route. If you wander off for the route, you may miss the next waypoint, or you may not be able to properly spot some of the visual spotting targets that are along the route. I'm going to fast forward now to the first waypoint, and I'll then demonstrate how to create the mark point at on the overfly page and how to navigate to the next course for the next waypoint. I'm currently now on course for one of the waypoints. All the waypoints are air bases. So at this point now, approximately 12 miles out from that waypoint, I need to start looking for it visually. If you have a zoom mode, that helps, or just continue flying until you get close to it. Once you identify it, head straight for it. Course is set up to take you straight to the airbase. The next task you'll need to do, set up your mark point page in the overfly mode. Once I'm in the overfly mode, it defaults to steer point 26 as the first steer point. But once I get directly over the airbase, I'll do a TMS up and it'll lock in the latitude and longitude coordinates for that base. My next course heading after this is 290, so as soon as I mark it, I need to instantly be turning on course to the next waypoint. I want to be accurate on this mark first. The other thing that we'll be doing is spotting an object on each airbase, whether it's a building, a runway, a vehicle, some sort of an object that will identify and validate that you are actually at the airbase. So now that I've set steer point 26 as my overfly mark point, I'm going to press M select and return. M select has now made it my current steer point. I still want to get over towards the 290 heading, but if I look at my HSD now and I move my course to 290, I can see the route is, I need to go to the left, fly to the left for the route. You don't want to do a lot of zigzags and burn fuel and waste time. So if you set up approximately a 10 to 20 degree intercept, the needle should start coming in within a few miles. It's fairly sensitive within the first few miles of the waypoint. It's less sensitive further away after about 50, 60 miles. You do want to get on course as soon as you can. Just want to do it efficiently. Once you get out over 56 miles, 50 or 60 miles, then you want to be really accurate on your course, because only 1 or 2 degrees off could throw you off 3 or 4 miles to your next waypoint. I've centered up my needle, and I'm now turning back to the course heading of 290. And now I'm going to roll my heading bug around and turn on my autopilot, the heading bug. I'm plenty low enough. I'm only at 1,000 AGL. 5,000 AGL will be the limit, or the cap for the flight today, even if you need to fly around clouds to visually stay clear of the mountains. Once I'm on course, 20 miles out from my previous steer point, I'm going to watch that distance until it gets to 79. And if I'm on course at 79 miles, I'll see my next waypoint, which is an airbase. So the next task we're going to do is we're going to spot some objects along the route. We do that by latitude and longitude coordinates that will be handed out on a sheet at mission time. I'm going to demonstrate one now. I don't want to mess with steer point 26 since that's my navigation point. So I'm going to dial in steer point 99 and use that for my navigation point. And what I need to do is enter the latitude and longitude. First thing you have to do is press the ICP number 2 toward north. There's a little tiny N next to the 2. That enters the scratch pad so I can enter in my latitude coordinates. Once the numbers are entered in, press enter. It'll automatically switch over to the east longitude coordinates. On this one here, I have to press the ICP 6. Down at the bottom corner, you'd see on the ICP 6 is a little E for east. Once I press that, it'll zero out the east longitude coordinates. And now I can enter those in. As you can see, some of the challenge will be to avoid clouds, prevent running into mountains along the way. This is when wingman tasking will be important. One wingman can watch the course, another one can watch for clouds and mountains, another one can enter latitude and longitude coordinates. Team effort will help make the flight successful. Now I'm going to plug in my longitude. Once that's entered, return. I want to bring up TGP in ground mode. And make sure cursor 0 is pressed. And as you can see, the heading bug is telling me that this object I'm supposed to spot is slightly to the left and 16 miles ahead. Let me check on my course status real quick, so I'll have to go back to steer 26 since I don't have a wingman helping me keep on course, and I have gone a little bit right of course So I need to come back to the left, get on course. And that looks pretty close for now. So I'll go back on to my autopilot. I am 39 miles out from the previous steer point. And the next waypoint is at 79 miles. So let's switch back now. I've got the autopilot on. I'm going to switch back now to steer 99. This is the object I'm supposed to spot in the TGP. 10 miles from that. The bug is telling me it's on the left side. And as you can tell, there may be some challenge between the mountain, the clouds, in order to be able to spot the targets. But once clear, TGP should be pointing right at a target. I see a very identifiable object that the TGP is looking at on the ground. That's it. On the sheet, I'm going to write down what that object is. After flight, these will be questioned, and everybody will have to answer what the object is along the route in order to get a score for that. Now I'm going to go back to your point for the route, 26. I'm still on course. I'm at 51 miles. I'm going to fast forward again. And what we're looking for now is the next waypoint. Again, it's an airbase. So we need to be spotting and looking for an airbase up ahead. Once we find it, we're going to do just like we did at the beginning. Overfly it, create an overfly mark point, and then pick up the next course and distance. We also need to visually ID an item or an object at the airbase. So as we're flying in towards the airbase, we need to get into a good position, possibly zoom in, and have all of our wingmen scanning the airbase, or whatever that object may be. Could be a tower, could be a tank, could be a building. Lots of objects we'll have to identify, but they'll be easily identified. Just as before, we want to prepare the mark point page on the overfly. This time it will set it at steer point 27. Once we get to the airbase, we want to be accurately flying to the very middle of the airbase. Do the TMS up, M select, return, turn on to our next course. This will be handed out on the course sheet on what the next course is, and then dial in the HSD for the next course. Center up the needle and fly that course outbound for the correct number of miles. Once that's set, we'll also have another visual target to spot. So there'll be a whole new latitude and longitude coordinate to plug in. Again, we can use your point 99. We don't need the last one. We can now enter in a new one. Same method. And that's it. Hopefully everybody will have a fun and challenging event. And thank you for flying the Northern Tour.